Yeah, sure. So today we will doing double verbs. So chapter 24 now. Uh, so there are a number of things we're going to cover in this chapter. We are doing double verbs. It just gives you introduction here. In Arabic, basically, if any verb has alif, waw, or ya, it's considered irregular in a way. Basically, what we don't do today is going to be to do with the rules of contraction and assimilation. It's similar to what I've done before. So rules of when to use shadda basically, and when to not. So we already done some of that in the previous chapters. So why there's this? So this giving you a couple of things. Is saying. So let's focus on C because others will come later. So today what we're going to cover is when the second and third radical are identical. It's called the double verb because you will see what will happen is so here jaddun, the root letters here is jim. You talk about 9 here, dal and dal. This is the first root letter, this is second root letter, this is the third root letter. Right? So it has gets a shadda. The Arabs divided verbs into two classes. They are known as Fi'l Salim. It's pretty much what we've done, most of what we're doing. And Fi'lun Ghayru Salim. And then this is divided into two parts. Fi'l Ghayru Salim. It's divided into Fi'lun Sahih, which is what we're going to do today, the double verbs. You don't really need to know the division, to be honest, and then need to know what would happen, which we're going to do next lesson when the verb has a hamza. And the remaining, the second part of it is the verbs which have waw.
Your voice is cutting. Continue.
Yes, sir. Your voice is cutting.
Okay, 1 second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so there's two divisions, sound and unsound, فعل سالم and فعل غير سالم. The later, which is B, is divided into two parts. It's known as فعل sahih, which is verbs, which is double verbs, which we're going to do today. And then we have verbs which start with hamza. Then we have فعل mu'tal. These are weak verbs which have waw or ya as one of the root letters. And the reason why they call mu'tal will come later. So today we'll just focus on fi'l muda'af, which is double verbs. And we will talk about what that constitutes, and hopefully what we've done before would help us. So basically, in a nutshell, this is to do with when a verb will have two same letters next to each other. First, he starts off by giving an example that sometimes in nouns we have two root letters, but they are sometimes separated. So here, the root letters are ba, waw, and ba. And waw became alif. We will learn this later why it became alif. They will come clear when we do in about 3-4 weeks time. And qalika, to be restless. Again, this is verb. It has two root letters. Qaf and qaf are the same. First and third root letters are the same. So in noun, the first and second root are rarely same. An exception here is babgha'u. The root letters are ba, ba, ghain. Right? So here it says the rules affecting the double verbs. So rules affecting basically shadda have already been touched upon in form 9, ihmarra, yahmarru, and so forth. So here we're just gonna focus on expanding on that basically. So here assimilation is called the idgham. So takes place when the two identical radicals are written as one with tashdid, shadda, when the third radical carries a vowel. So the key here is, when the third radical, the third root letter has a vowel, has a haraka, then we use shadda. And when the third radical letter has schoon, we don't use shadda. So for example, the verb it gives you radda ala means to restore, to reply to. So if I say radaddu alayki, I replied to you. Here says radda. So originally it was ra dal dal. So it was originally I believe it was something like this. So become radda. In the imperfect, this necessitates shifting the vowel forward from the second radical. Okay. So in the imperfect, it was yardudu, yansuru. The way it works is this becomes to make a shadda, because what's the rule? If the last letter has a haraka, we make shadda. So we're gonna make shadda. So this dhamma, what we do with it, we just move it to ra. Becomes ya ruddu. Does it make sense?
The last letter should always have a sign so that we can put a shadda on it. If it has a sakoon, so we will leave it as it is.
Yeah, so we'll look at the last letter is the key, last root letter is the key. So yes, if he has haraka, we use shadda. If he doesn't have a haraka, if he has schoon, we leave as we would leave other verbs, particular verbs. So, so here it tells you, like I told you, yaruddu was yardudu. Because of the last letter has a dhamma, we make a shadda, and this dhamma moves here. Again, the key is if you just memorize the table, then that's all you need really. The rules are just there for explanation. So when you start teaching, you could explain the rules. But in terms of practical application, if you just memorize it really well, you wouldn't need to really, if you forget rules here and there, because rules are things which we tend to forget until we start teaching or revising. But application stays the same. So exceptions, there's an exception. So the passive perfect are form 3. So this is exception to the rule. because even though this has a harakat at the end, we still use them separately. The part of the reason is that if we can't just shift, because if we make this shadda and we shift the kasra of dal onto waw, it doesn't work because waw doesn't take a kasra. So this is an exception. So exception is form 3. Passive is rudida. It's not. There's no shadda here. So the simulation does not take place where the third radical has schoon. And obviously, when does it have schoon? Obviously, there are some, in Madi, we have instances, but this is more so when we do choose imperative, which is fail amr, and jusif. Okay, so when we do lam or la of nahi, so la prohibition, this will become common. So here it gives examples. Nahnu radadna antun hunna radadna. Here is hunna yardudna nahnu. So you could say here, you could say, just say the lam before. Lam nardud, we did not restore, for example. Or here, you look at the imperative, is urdu, restore. So the way it works, you probably will find this difficult, I think. The way to do this is perhaps, yes, I think the best way to do this is memorize. If you have you used the website I sent the link to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you just type in the whole thing should come up. Just trying to see where
Yes, sir. Just when we type the verb, it's all the conjugations are shown there.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. Okay. I'm trying to see if I could bring you up on the computer. There's a website. So here is Arabic. So if I could somehow use my Arabic. So here they gives you. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the verbs? The website. Can you see the website? Hello.
Yes, sir. I can see the website, but I can't see the word clearly.
Okay. So obviously when you pull it up, you could probably see it properly. I'm just showing that it's there. So I'm not sure how to make this bigger quickly. So it's gonna probably not worth doing it too much. But here it just says ana radadtu. It gives you here. This is Madi. It's up there at the top. It says past Madi. So then it gives you table ana radadtu, and then it tells you anta, anti, huwa, hiya. This mudare. This is antuma. Here nahnu, antum. It gives you everything. So maybe it's not in order that we do it in. So the best would be is if for you to write it down. But you should know all these tables really well. Like if you could, the key is memorization. These verbs. I'll be honest with you. The key is memorization. So let's go back to that.
Once you get the base verb, then the conjugation is easy. For me, it's taking time to get the base only, especially for form 10 and form 8. I don't know.
What do you mean?
It becomes once I know the verb that it's istahsana. Okay, then it's easy for me to conjugate.
Yes. So if you find istaghfara difficult, just put it istaghfara. So if you put istaghfara.
Hello. Yeah, but for me, form 10 and form 8, it's becoming very, I don't know. I just can't pronounce some of the words. I don't know why.
So you could start istaghfartu because istahsana is maybe because there's the root letter, one of the root letters is seen. So because they're seen already here, you may find it difficult, but you could use istaghfara.
Yeah, mostly maybe.
Istaghfara. I think this is probably easier to pronounce. Istaghfartu, istaghfarna, istaghfarta, istaghfartuma, istaghfartum. So I use normally verb istaghfara because for me it helped me to memorize, to realize that it means seeking, because we're seeking forgiveness. We all know istaghfara what it means. So when especially in early days, istaghfara, when I used to think was form 10, I used to think, oh, istaghfara, yes, it means to seek something. So here, like to seek forgiveness. So I think if you could memorize this verb as well. You don't have to do istahsana, you can do istaghfara, same thing.
Okay, sir.
So here it says verbs of the form fa'ila and fa'ula, alima and karuma, for example, are only distinguished here from those of fa'ala. So these are like 3 variations of the past tense of the basic verb we've done before. You can only distinguish which, even just when you see a verb in double verb, you could only tell whether it's this, or this when you use the form which doesn't have shadda. So for example, malla, you don't know if he was originally malala or malula or malila. You get what I'm saying? So originally it could have been ma lala, it could have been ma lila, it could have been ma lula. So when you say malla, you're not gonna know. How do you know? When you